Well, good afternoon, friends. Thanks so much for joining me on this LinkedIn Live. I'm stoked to have you here with me. My name's Adrian. I'm part of Run Gopher, a company which I'll talk to you about in a little bit. Different location today. I'm in at the office. Windows need a clean. Realize that as I turn the camera on. You'll be fine. Bit of housekeeping before we get started. If the video freezes for any reason, just give it 10 seconds. It'll kick back in or hit refresh if you need to. I'm just going to wait on here. Can you tell me if my audio is working? Last time I did this, my audio wasn't working, and that was super embarrassing. If you're watching this live, can you go to the comment section, type in live. If you're watching a replay of this, type in replay. That would be super helpful just for people that are wanting to join us and can find it. I also need a little bit of permission from you. I'm just going to check my comments here. Loud and clear. Thank you, James. Hugh, live audio is working. That is a plus. I can't guarantee about the content, but at least you can hear me. The permission today I need is when I may get a little bit passionate. As I was typing this out over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting super passionate about this, and I've had to rewrite it a number of times. And so my permission that I'm wanting today is that I'll probably talk faster than usual. Maybe I'll have a thought and I'll go off on a tangent, but just stick with me because I think this will be super worth it. The other thing too is that I'm going to be asking a bunch of questions throughout this, and I'd love for you to engage, to write comments on here, not only for my reflection to go back on, but for people that are watching on, just to engage in that way. So if that's okay, type in live if you're watching this live, or replay if you're watching this replay. Now, let's get straight into it. So my name's Adrian Smith. I run a company called Run Gopher. We are a full end-to-end conversational AI platform specializing in communication. So before we get into it, I'm not a broad AI expert. I am an expert in communication methods, that being SMS, MMS, voicemail, email, and voice AI, which I'll talk about. We are a company that is centered on conversation driven by AI. So everything that we want to achieve and to help you achieve as an organization is to be centered on conversation driven by AI. Now, since 2017, we have been building all of our tech in-house. So with that, we have learned a hell of a lot about what works and what does not work. We work with some of the world's fastest growing companies, for-profit companies, and also have been the go-to platform for not-for-profit companies globally. And so we work on both ends. How do we communicate? How do we engage an audience using these communication platforms? But in the last 12 months, there has been a huge shift. So let's get on the same page with some terminology. There are many definitions of AI, or artificial intelligence, and there's actually about over 70 of them. I was reading a report by Legg, which I can post later. But in this live, I want to define artificial intelligence, AI, as an umbrella term that refers to systems that exhibit intelligent behavior, such as learning, reasoning, and problem solving. So machine learning, ML, is a branch of AI that uses algorithms to learn from data, identify patterns, and make predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed. Google gives us that explanation. And then LLMs, or large language models, and tools built around LLMs, such as ChatGPT, which is the big one, are an increasingly important application of machine learning. So LLMs generate new content, making them a form of generative AI. So for this, what we need to know is that I'll be referring it to a system that exhibits intelligent behavior. Now, today's topic is all about Fortune 500 companies. And so I've taken a big deep dive into how are Fortune 500 companies using AI? How are they developing in systems? How are they looking at technology? Mostly, who are they employing, because these people don't exist. And so I want to dive into that today. What can we learn from Fortune 500 companies when it regards to AI? Now, let me set the scene a little bit. I'm going to talk about a business And just by me describing it, I want you to type in the comment section the company you think it is. So I'm going to start just broadly talking about a general company, and then I want you to write in the comments what you think it is. My hipster glass. Yep, someone will comment about that for sure. So this was established by George Eastman in the 1880s, but by the 1950s, this company had the lion's share of the US amateur market in their particular field. They were the company at the top of its game. Now, it controlled almost 70% of the highly lucrative something market. Gross margins on this ran close to 70%, and its success was further underpinned by a massive distribution network and one of the strongest brands in the world. Now, this company completely dominated its industry, and then in 1981, something happened. Along came a disruptor. Now, thousands of words have been written recently seeking to explain what happened and what this failure was. I'm just going to be checking my phone as this happens. Now, the company, all agree, was slow to adapt. Its executives suffered from a mentality of perfect products, and its venture capital arm never made big enough bets to create breakthroughs, and its leadership lacked vision and consistency. Now, none of this analysis, however, fully explains why this disruption, something that this company actually pioneered, what it did for the company. Now, we need to dive a little deeper. Now, I'm going to look at my comments. I've been very vague in this. If I add in the word camera or digital film, can anyone tell me what company this is? I'll wait a couple of seconds. There's comments coming through now. Can anyone have a stab at what company this is? One of the world's strongest brands was disrupted by something that it was absolutely pioneering and researching. I'll give the answer away, and that is Kodak. Now, shift happens. Apostrophe for the F, as Michael McQueen would put it. Thank you, Veronica. I see that. Kodak, yes. Now, shift happens, and Michael McQueen writes this in his book, Winning the Battle for Relevance. But there's much written about Kodak and what went wrong. To summarize my reading, it is this. Have you ever seen, typically, on large freeways, if you take the wrong turn, there is a great sign, and it says, "Wrong way, go back." It means that you are headed down the wrong lane and bad things are about to happen. See, there is a point, there is a decision when ultimately Kodak set its path to irrelevance. And again, Michael McQueen wrote this brilliantly in his book, Winning the Battle for Relevance. They got arrogant, they moved slow, and they didn't read the signposts. And so today I want this to be like a giant wrong way, go back signpost for you. If you are ignoring AI, then this is your signpost. Choose your next turn wisely. Now I want today to either be an encouragement that you're doing the right thing, because this will affirm some decisions that you've made recently, or this will be a giant kick up the backside to get you moving faster toward AI adoption. And I will not take a backward step in moving forward to tell you that you need to be adopting AI into your business. But sitting still is not an option. Okay, are you ready? Comment ready if you are keen to learn what companies in Fortune 500 are doing with AI. Who is ready for that? Perfect. So the question I want to get out of the way is this: is AI all hype? Now, there was a study done by Retool talking with 1,500 tech leaders from Fortune 500 companies, and this is what they had to say about that exact question. The question was, how fairly rated is AI? Of these 1,500 tech leaders, 23.4% said it's fairly rated. 25.1% said it's underrated. And 51.6% said it is overrated. So 50% of tech leaders in Fortune 500 companies, now remember, these are people who build the tech, use the tech, deploy the tech, say that it's overrated. It's interesting. Now, as someone who is building AI products in our company, Run Gopher, and deploying these into businesses, I need to be clear on something, that AI is not magic dust yet. Everyone thinks it is. Everyone thinks that this particular thing, you might hear a recording of something, or you might see a picture that AI has done, or whatever it might be, but it is not magic dust. Now, this is probably what the 50% are saying when they say it's overrated, because people think that it is magic dust, and it's not. For example, we are actively building and deploying a voice AI caller into organizations across the globe. Now, when you call it and talk to it, it's incredibly impressive, but there is a huge amount of engineering that goes into it to allow it to sound that way. It can, and it does, sometimes break. It's not magic dust. Earlier this month, ChatGPT had a huge glitch in the system where every response that was produced was just utter nonsense. I don't know if any of you were on the platform for that day or those couple of days where it was hallucinating and just saying random nonsense, but often it will stop working, misunderstand, or simply ignore part of the question. AI is not magic dust, but now these people were asked a follow-up question, and that was this: how important is AI adoption, or adopting AI into your organization? How important is this? 12% said not that important. Interesting. 8% said it's important but not crucial. The staggering thing is 80% said absolutely crucial. 80% said absolutely crucial. Now, even though 50% believed that it was overrated, they overwhelmingly knew that it won't stay that way for long, and that the health and longevity of the business, you must act now. Now, I know there's a bunch of people on this live that are not from Australia, but you don't have to look far to know that we in Australia have crazy fires. From time to time, when it's a really hot summer, fires have been devastating for our nation in the past. Now, there is a commonly used rating system when fire is approaching or is near to an area. And it's a dial, and it goes from left to right, and it talks about whether what you should do when it comes to the fire. Now, all the way to the left is moderate, means plan and prepare. Then it moves to high, be ready to act. Then it moves to extreme, take action now to protect life and property. And then it moves to red, which is catastrophic. For your survival, leave bushfire risk areas, means it is close, you need to get out. Now, for me, I personally believe that AI and your and your approach to AI sits somewhere between high and extreme. This means that the fire, in this case, AI, is approaching your area at great speed and has the potential to cause great destruction to your organization. Now, it seems a bit extravagant and probably exaggerated a little bit, but the people that act now will ultimately set themselves up to create a sustainable business but those that fail to move will ultimately fall behind. Now, some simple examples for you. When you look at two businesses, one that adopts AI and one that does not. So, simple examples. One business uses one-way messaging to send SMS to 100,000 people asking a question. If 100,000 people respond, a human needs to sit there and manually type a response. The other business uses Run Gopher, which uses AI to respond to that, creating a two-way messaging platform. Now, the platform or the bot actually responds based on what's been asked. Which business moves quicker? The one where a human has to respond to 100,000 messages, or the one where the platform responds to 100,000 messages based on what's needed to happen? Example 2, one organization uses a call center to qualify leads, and they need to get through 100,000 leads. That's a lot of manpower to call and qualify leads. Another uses AI to call and qualify leads and then pass qualified leads to humans. Which organization or business moves faster? Which is more efficient? And which do you think humans are more attracted to? As a salesperson growing up, I know that I only want qualified leads and not qualified leads, because it makes my job much easier. Third example is this: one organization requires someone to sign a document in person, and the other uses a product like DocuSign or many others out there to do digital signatures. Which organization moves faster? It's pretty simple stuff. Now, I know we're talking about AI in this live, but I want you to think again about our definition of AI as the umbrella term that refers to systems that exhibit intelligent behavior. So it's not always about chatbots. I mean, that's one part of it, but that is a very narrow view of AI. And so we're talking about how can we create efficiency in your organization using systems that are intelligent enough to make decisions on by themselves. In another live, I said that AI has the intelligence needed to make decisions without prompting. That's what we're looking for in your organization. So we are here to know what Fortune 500 companies are doing. Are you ready? Let's get into it. Let me just check this now. People are commenting, Kodak, ready. G'day, Alex. G'day, Henny, James, Hugh, Ahmad. Yes, the event is recorded. Get in touch with me after. Saria, service now. Awesome. So what are CEOs saying? IBM did a massive study and talked to some of the world's leading CEOs of the world's leading organizations. And they had this to say. Now I'm going to throw some stats at you, and then I want to unpack some of these things. Excuse me. Now, this is what CEOs are saying. CEOs say productivity and the technology that will help deliver it is a pressing priority. Almost half of these CEOs, some Fortune 500 companies and larger, and some smaller. So there's about 1,000 CEOs that took part in this. Almost half, 48% of CEOs surveyed pinpointed productivity as the top priority for their organization. Now that's moved up since 2022. Technology modernization follows as their second highest priority. But they also indicate that this is among their top challenges. So what that's saying is that productivity paired with technical or technology modernization is the absolute priority and their greatest challenge. And we can unpack that in a second. Now, CEOs surveyed say that technology factors remain their top external force impacting their organization over the next 3 years. So these CEOs are saying over the next 3 years that technology factors outside of their organization are going to impose priority on them, an agenda on them, and that's going to be a hard thing to navigate. CEOs, next point, CEOs are increasingly looking toward operational technology and data leaders as strategic decision makers. Now, I found this really interesting. That when asked which C-suite members will make the most crucial decisions over the next 3 years, CEO respondents identified that COOs, Chief Operating Officers, and CTOs will make the most crucial decisions. But what is interesting is that they've done this study for the last 5 years in a row, that CTOs, or Chief Technology Officers, or digital officers, some are called in some organizations, have been progressively moving up, and they're actually higher than ever before, meaning that CTOs, the ones handling the decisions about what technology they need to adopt into an organization, are becoming the most strategic and the most strategic decision makers in an organization. So CEOs are looking to technology leaders. Now, this is only fascinating if you understand the landscape a little bit, but historically, CTOs, those making decisions about technology, have been there to support the vision. It has been a vehicle for something. It has not been the main driver for something. Whereas now organizations are flipping and technology is becoming the driver for growth and not the vehicle for growth, if that makes sense to you. Now, the next point is this: CEOs indicate that they are ready to adopt generative AI, but other executives have reservations. Now, I found this really fascinating. But 75% of CEOs surveyed, I don't know why I said it like that, believe the organization with the most advanced Gen AI will have the competitive advantage. 75% of CEOs saying that those that adopt quickly and more quickly than their competitors will have a competitive advantage. 75%, now I don't know what the other 25% are saying, but 75% of CEOs are saying that the competitive advantage comes by the decisions they make about technology in their organization. 50% of CEOs report that they are already integrating Gen AI into products and services. 69%, 70% of CEO respondents see broad benefits of Gen AI across their organization. But here's the point, just 29%, so 30% of their executive teams agree that they have the in-house expertise to adopt generative AI. They don't have the people, and we'll get to that point in a second. Next point is this: generative AI is fueling workforce changes, but broader assessments of its impact on the workforce are lagging. So again, this is IBM that has done this study. Now, about 43% of those surveyed, those CEOs say that they have reduced or redeployed their workforce due to Gen AI, with an additional 28% indicating they have a plan to do so in the next 12 months. It's a lot of stats thrown at you, but I think it's really important that when we're looking at, the big companies in the globe and what they're doing, they're actually leading a lot of the time in articulating what the big problems with adoption of technology like AI is. And there are a few key themes in this. 46% of CEOs said that they have hired additional workers because of Gen AI, with 26% saying that they have plans to, blah, blah, blah. There's some massive stats in here, and if you want a copy of the report, just send me a DM and I will send it to you. But it's really fascinating because we, smaller organizations or emerging enterprise, really need to be taking good note of what's actually happening. Now, some takeaways here. Productivity paired with technology, AI, is the pressing priority. Finding ways to improve efficiency and move faster is key. Now, this is what the largest organizations are saying. So small organizations need to be thinking the same way, although they can be more agile, which is helpful. CTOs are moving up to having to make the most crucial decisions we've spoken about. 75% of CEOs believe the organization with the most advanced Gen AI will have the competitive advantage. Now, leading change. This is the thing that I wanted to point out too, is this. 29% of the exec team disagree that they need to adopt. Now, it's no easy thing. Sorry, I said that wrong. 29% of the exec team agree that they need to adopt to AI, meaning that 70% of exec teams in these companies don't agree with the CEOs saying that they need to move quickly on AI or technology advances like this. And I want to point out that this is really hard. And working with organizations, it's really difficult to get something across the line because it impacts so much in an organization. An example close to home is this. So we've been building bots for a long time. Our platform is a conversational AI platform. Most recently, we've built this incredible voice bot which does outbound calling and can qualify leads and set appointments. It's amazing. But what it does is the ripple effects on the decisions you need to be thinking about if you put this technology into an organization. Now, we look at what does it mean we can get through leads faster, which is amazing. We can qualify more leads more quickly, which is amazing. We can improve the margin, which is amazing. All these different things. But the organizations we work with need to then step out 10 steps out. What does that mean for teams? How do we redeploy staff into really important positions? What does that mean for the culture of the team? What does that mean for efficiency in the team? Now, there is this study. Now, Generative AI at Work by Eric, can't pronounce that name, Danielle Lee and Lindsay, that developed a system and deployed AI into a particular organization. And they say this: new AI tools have the potential to change the way workers perform and learn, but little is known about their impacts on the job because it is so new. Now, in this paper, they study the staggered introduction of a generative AI-based conversational assistant using data from 5,179 customer support agents. So over 5,000 support agents. So you might call up in Australia, it could be Telstra, or it could be Optus, or a gas company or energy company. So they've studied 5,100 support agents across all these organizations and put in this Gen AI-based conversational assistant. And these are the results. So access to the tool increases productivity as measured by issues resolved per hour by 14% on average. So staff have kept their job, nobody's moving, they've just given them this tool. So issues have been resolved quicker by 14% on average, including a 34% improvement for novice and low-skilled workers, but with minimal impact on experienced and high-skilled workers. So what it's saying is this, is that productivity went up by 14% per hour, which is massive in these organizations. And 34% improvement for novice or low-skilled workers. So those new to the organization, they benefit the most out of this. We provide suggested evidence that the AI model disseminates the best practices of more able workers, and it helps newer workers move down the experience curve. In addition, we find that AI assistance improves customer sentiment, increases employee retention, and may lead to worker learning. It's really fascinating because when we look at these big organizations, 5,100 customer support agents, as some would say are lower tier jobs, those on the phones handling customer support inquiries, but absolutely crucial to the organization. Just giving them an AI-based conversational tool, which just, if you read the report, it just prompts them on what responses are best. If a customer asks a particular question, the human goes, yes, I will use that, or no, I won't use that, and then they can customize it if they need to. But it improves customer sentiment, increases employee retention, and leads to worker learning. And so when we look at Fortune 500 companies, you don't need to, what's the big overhaul, but what are the small steps that you can make, people in this study, what are the small steps that you can make in your organization to help you move quicker? Whether that's to increase morale, that's cool, thumbs up. Increase morale in your staff, whether it's to get through queries faster, whether it's to qualify leads faster so that people are closing more leads, whatever it might be, you need to be thinking about this. Now, let's take a pause. Of all of those stats that I just read out, which there are a lot of them, I'd love for you to write in the comments, what was the one thing that stood out to you the most? Was there any one key stat, one concerning stat? What was it for you that stood out the most? I'd love for you to write that in the comments for everyone else to see. I always love this part because it's like sometimes you've not heard something and then someone writes something. So I'm just going to pause for 10 seconds because I think you're 10 seconds behind, and look at some of these comments. So write in the comments section now, what was something that stood out to you in this last little bit regarding the stats? Okay, comments will be coming through very shortly. Okay, cool. I'll read them as we go. Thanks, Henny. The fact that 70% of execs can't see the requirement to get on board. That was a concerning stat for me. Actually, a massive one that I was like, that's huge. That just talks to how hard this is to get leadership on board and the massive changes that are going to need to be considered in some of these things. So let's move on. What are some of the things that are making this difficult? And that talks to that exact thing, Henny. Now, some of the concerns that come up about AI and technological advances like this and what needs to be considered are these things. Now, the first being data privacy and security. That's been absolutely the talk for a long time as to when you type something into ChatGPT or OpenAI's platform, who owns that data? If you upload a contract or IP into that particular platform, who owns that? Now, OpenAI have come out to say that they use it for training purposes to train their model, but who owns that? So that is a big concern. The second concern, and a lot of Fortune 500 companies feel this, is that the policy does not yet exist, and that is tied into government legislation and or regulations in this area, just are not there yet. We saw earlier this year, Joe Biden in the States, or the FCC working with Joe Biden, they banned unsolicited outbound calling using an AI agent in the United States because someone had cloned Joe's voice, started calling people at random, telling them not to vote in a particular election. So they've come in pretty hard in saying that you can't call someone unsolicited, which is great because I hate those calls. But at a most part, the government doesn't have legislation around some of these things because the technology is so new. Point number 4 is that talent is very hard to find in this space because it has not been a long enough time frame that people are well trained in this, and we've found that in our own organization, Run Gopher. We're trying to hire people with particular skill set that just don't really exist, and so you're trying to find one person and there's 100 or 100,000 organizations asking for that same person. So what happens is demand on this person is high, so they can ask for big salaries. They may not have the right expertise, but organizations are just hiring as many people as they can with these skill set to try and develop product even more. We look at Canva, they're doing this massively, Adobe are massive. So people with this skill set, any coding skill set in AI, they are doing this, or machine learning, they are hiring a lot. And so finding people is really quite difficult. Now, the rate of adoption is far slower than the rate of innovation, number 5. This is really difficult too because we can see that innovation in AI is happening at an incredible speed. Every week, every day, every minute, there is something else coming out. Whether you're targeted on Instagram, there's another bot that's out, there's another tool, there's another picture generator, there's another document generator, whatever it might be, but the rate of adoption is far, far slower than the rate of innovation. This makes it really difficult for organizations to understand where to start. The big one has been around, it's tied to data privacy and security, but the ethical use of AI, and this was pinned in the FCC report in the States around, well, what is the ethical way? And there's tech leaders all around the globe kind of signing a code of conduct and agreeing that they need to use AI in an ethical way. And so the ethical use of AI is incredibly important. Now, an example of this is there's a lot of spam calling going on where humans are calling other humans and saying, your bill's overdue or you've got a virus on your computer, you need to download this particular thing. Now, where it gets really scary is that what if you could do that on bulk using an AI agent to call and convince people? What if you could use really clever email cloning to be able to convince someone that their Telstra bill is overdue and that they need to pay it and click in a link that is actually spam? So it becomes really, really important that organizations have a view of what is an ethical use of AI in their organization and building frameworks around that. And then the next point, the last point is this, is that upskilling requires huge leaps. Upskilling current employees requires huge leaps in knowledge and training, and often that is just not out there yet. I've seen a few universities that have now got a master's in AI or artificial intelligence, and I know it's been around since 1950, but there's just no frameworks for this, and it's moving at a rapid pace. So something that you learn now may not actually be applicable in weeks, months, years to come. And so that's very difficult, and so it has to be on-the-job learning and or hiring in more experienced staff to help with that. But that is massive. Now, AI in Fortune, secrets of AI for Fortune 500 companies. It's a lot to take in, but I wanted to come at this because I wanted to talk about like what are the problems people are facing with AI, because not many people are talking about it. People are talking about all the cool tools out there, which there are a lot of cool tools out there. But what are the things you need to consider from an organizational point of view to run towards AI? And I think you need to run towards AI and adopt as quickly as you possibly can with good consideration of the ripple effect in your organization. So there's some problems there that you need to be thinking through, but the upside is absolutely incredible. Let's play that case study out, and if it's improving 5,100 customer support agents by 14% every hour, that's a huge increase in efficiency and productivity. And not only that, it's improving customer sentiment, improving employee retention, and leading to faster worker learning. So the upside is incredible with AI, but there are some considerations to take as well. Now, I'm going to wrap this up a little early and give you back some of your day. Thanks so much for those that joined and those that are watching the replay. Now, the question is what to do next. What do I do next? I've listened to this talk, and Adrian, you've been amazing. But what do I do with this? What do I do with this information? Now, I want you to write down this particular phrase. Then what happens? This phrase will absolutely transform your organization if used well. Now, I want you to use it like this. I want you to pick one particular process in your organization. Let's use lead generation as an example. So someone goes onto your website and they fill in the form and they say, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. Then you ask the question, then what happens? And you write that down. Well, the form goes to here. Okay, then what happens? Then I assign it to a salesperson. Then what happens? The salesperson calls them. Then what happens? Salesperson updates notes. Then you can see how this plays out. And I want you to play it out until you can't play it out any further. And hopefully that's with you deploying a service into their business and so on and so forth. It's going to be a long process. Some will be a short process. Then what happens? Now then what I want you to do is I want you to go back to every step, and I want you just to circle where you think it's really inefficient. So that might be, well, the salesperson shouldn't really have to, they shouldn't have an operations person have to to manually assign it to a salesperson. How do we automate that? Okay, does the CRM do that? Okay, and I just want you to circle every part in that process where it's inefficient. And then I want you to think about, how do we make this more efficient? And the first step is this: ask your staff to solve it. This is the first step in adopting any new technology, is getting ownership. Like we said, we need more than 30% of our exec team and or employees to be on board with this. And I want you to give them a project. We need to solve this problem. Can you go and solve it? Absolutely. I'll give you 5 hours this week, whatever it might be. And get them to solve the problem that you're having to make this inefficient, because they're in it day in, day out. They probably have some ideas. So start somewhere. Even if it's in the next month to solve one problem, get buy-in from your team and to solve it. Start planning that. The second thing that you can do from this, so apart from going through your organization, is to work with someone who has done this before. Now, this is where I do the unapologetic plug, is that we have been working with organizations to do this day in and day out since 2017. How do we make your communication methods more efficient? How do we increase the rate in which we can qualify a lead? How can we increase the rate in which you can speak to a lead? Whatever that might look, work with someone who has done this before, even if it's just to steal their knowledge and take it back into your organization. I'm up for that. Let's just help one another. But work with someone who has done this before. And the last one, I think you just need to try and fail. Get your team to to find a particular tool that can help them. Use it for a month and see if it works or if it doesn't. Try and move towards AI adoption as quickly as you possibly can. And it starts with the small things, not the massive things where you're redeploying staff into other areas of the business. Start small, whether that's automating your calendar, automating email replies, using a platform like RunGo to handle conversational AI over SMS, MMS, whatever it might be. Start planning, write down the phrase, then what happens, and write out your entire process and understand where you're inefficient in your business. Work with someone who has done it before, run GoFar, and try and fail some things. Now, I'm going to put a link. Missy, if you can put the link in the comments now. We're taking on 10 new clients over the next 3 months. We are pretty much maxed out in terms of what we can handle, but we've got 10 spots where we can work with your organization, depending on your size, where we can help you do some of these things, especially in the communication field. And so, Missy, if you put that form in the chat, if you are interested to learn more about AI and would love to have a conversation, it's just let's lock away 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's a simple Google form. Just put your details down and I'll personally be in touch with you and we can talk about that further. But that's enough from me. There's heaps of stats. Watch the replay so that you can get them all again. But this is me backing you. Just have a crack. Go out and try something new. Find an AI tool to embed in your organization and just try something today. And make sure it's today. Don't wait any longer. Have a crack. Anyway, that's been great, amazing. Thanks so much for being a part of this live. I've got a couple more throughout the year that I'm really excited about. So check out that. Connect with me on LinkedIn if we aren't already connected. Send me a DM, ask me questions, whatever it might be. And I look forward to seeing you next time. See ya.